Every argument starts with a name. Who named you and what did they want from you?
What do you mean by that?
So this evening we're doing straightening. We're going to do a little bit of straightening on a lot of these tethers.
I will make that hypocrisy hurt.
Because on this FBA or lost nonsense, because the only thing lost is the memory of who drew the borders, who wrote the paperwork, and who built this country with blood and invoices. So this is our receipts. These are our invoices. Now, this isn't beef. This is lineage, law, and receipts. Let's start with the thing y'all say we don't have, identity. They say that foundational Black Americans have no identity. Well, Nigeria, the word itself didn't come from some ancient kingdom list. It was coined by British writer Flora Shaw in the 1890s and popularized as a brand for the Royal Niger Company territories, which was a chartered British corporation that controlled land and trade on the lower Niger. In 1914, the Crown fused Northern and Southern protectorates into a single unit for administrative convenience. That's your modern border, by the way. So miss me with, we know exactly who we are while rocking a corporate map and a colonial brand name stamped by a British boardroom.
Yes, definitely.
Now, that's not an insult, it's a fact.
That's just an interesting fact.
The insult is pretending that makes you the authority on foundational Black Americans. They would say, you're lost. You don't even have your language. No, we've had an ethnogenesis, a new people forged through a specific history on a specific soil. So you can miss me all with that. The descendants of those enslaved here, freed here, who fought here and built here. That's not cosplay, that's called nation work. See, language is culture, but paperwork is power. FBA has both a distinct culture canon and a legal historical trail inside the United States that ties lineage to labor, disposition, and claim. You said we gave you life. Now, that's a cute line.
Holy shit, there's a lot of news.
I can't admit it, but here are the bills. U.S. Capitol and White House constructed and maintained with enslaved Black labor. The White House even rented enslaved craftsmen. The receipts, White House Historical Association, architect of the Capitol Archives. You can look it all up for yourself.
Go look up the history. Shit, don't everybody believe in Google?
We look at cash crops. Cash crops equal capital markets. Cotton picked under chattel slavery became over half of the U.S. export value on the eve of the Civil War. Underwriting Northern finances and British mills. When we look at all the receipts, we can just go through the textbooks and believe me when I tell you, we built the nation's wealth as it stands today. Public wealth, private exclusion, because after emancipation, state and federal regimes redirected opportunity to whites via the Homestead Act and all the land that they gave away with that, FHA redlining and GI Bill, which implemented to exclude Black veterans in practice. So again, our information is on the record books. We can easily define and look these things up.
Okay. Foundational
Black Americans built the infrastructure. We seeded the capital and we got the exclusion. If you claim to our work begins in 1960 under a flag named by a British novelist, you're a guest, not the architect, because that's exactly how Nigeria was absolutely made, by the way. And another lie, y'all don't even know your birth dates. See, we have records, you don't. It's a reality check, no less. Colonial registration across West Africa was partial for much of the 20th century. Many communities lived under indirect rule where the British wanted taxes and labor, not universal vital records. That's why January 1st shows up as a placeholder date in a lot of post-colonial paperwork. Meanwhile, our paper trail runs through plantation ledgers, sale manifests, manumission lists, Freeman's Bureau rolls, World War draft cards, census after census. It's ugly, but it at least is traceable, is it not? Lost is when a European clerk has to invent your country's birthday. Foundational is when your lineage is burned into federal ledgers because this country extracted your family's label here. That's the big difference that a lot of people are missing. They can say we don't have culture, we don't have identity, and that we're lost, but nonetheless, we have invoices and receipts. See, you keep trying to stuff all Black people into one box because the moment you blur lineage, you blur liability. When agency collapse Black into a global category, immigrants with very different history gets counted as Black progress, while the descendants of American slavery still get redlined out of wealth, contracts, and restitution. This isn't about hate, by the way, because they will keep stating that this is xenophobic and discriminatory and that it's hate. It's not. This is about focus. This is about precision. Other groups do lineage-based policies. Japanese Americans redress to the American government and they got the bag from this country. Holocaust claims, they get in the bag from this country. Tribal citizenship, they're getting the bag from this country. We're doing the same. Freeman lineage is a protected class in the making. When the debate gets tight, the goalposts move every single time. Yeah, violent. You guys are at war. No. We've had intra-community violence like every people under pressure, but the mass communal slaughters you're protecting, those genocides, those are often religious and political conflicts tied to colonial borders and resources captured on the continent. That's tragic and is yours to fix, not ours. And maybe that's why a lot of people are fleeing their countries today, because they don't want to fix their own problems. They want to come and make ruckus for people who built the country. We don't dump your chaos on your name. We don't dump it on ours. So solidarity starts when projection absolutely stops. I don't think that is what people are getting at. When people continue to project their failures onto foundational Black Americans. Again, solidarity starts where projection absolutely stops. See, every time we birth a genre, a script appears. It comes from African rhythms or Caribbean grooves, Latin origins, everybody but the people who made it. We saw the erasure run on hip hop and we had to check it on camera and in film. Respect the diaspora, but the credit the source. When we're talking about blues, gospel, R&B, jazz, rock and roll, hip hop, country, ragtime, go-go, house music, these are FBA inventions born of our conditions right here in America. Culture without credit is theft. Culture with credit is a contract. They tell us we are the same people, just different tribes. No, that's a cool story, but by your own logic, if Yoruba and Igbo are distinct peoples created by distinct histories and proximity, then foundational Black American forged by 4 centuries and more of U.S. law, labor, and struggle is a very distinct people created by a distinct history on this soil. You can't claim difference at home and demand sameness here. Pick a framework and be very consistent with it. Delineation isn't division. It really isn't. It's a address. It tells the mailman where to deliver the check and who to hold accountable for the debt. You respect FBA lineage claims in the U.S., including data degradation and reparation. We respect your fights at home, sovereignty and anti-corruption and anti-extraction. We partner as equals, not as impersonators. Stop calling us lost because we don't rent a colonial identity you just got in 1914. We are foundational Black Americans, the people who survived slavery here in these American streets. But the nation here, Fort Jim Crow here, and left a paper trail of receipts right here. You can visit, you can collaborate, but you cannot colonize our story with a hashtag. And that's what a lot of people from these countries are trying to do, especially countries in West Africa. And that's where the shout out goes out to. So this is where power meets receipt and invoices. And let me see if you guys have any that can even compare or match. Again, these are for tethers, not the good men and women of Nigeria and West Africa, not those people, but those damn tethers.